Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This is probably like the third time I'm re-recording this episode because it just doesn't come out the way I want to. And recently, I had a talk on the podcast that I do with Shaka Panda. You can find at shakaandpals.com. That's SHAKKA and pals. We talked about how being an artist is hard and how you have to make sacrifices and how you have to change your lifestyle and live an unorthodox life to become like an artist full time. And that's a good and a bad thing, depending on how you want to interpret that. But my talk that I had recorded in the past was about art isn't suffering. And I feel that through the talk with Shaka, I kind of went across this the wrong way in the past, and I wanted to re-record this. So my whole point was when people talk about their art and what they had to do to make their art happen, that doesn't define the art. And I think that there's a really big point in there, because some people go on and on and on and on social media about how they only got 2 hours of sleep last night, or they've only been eating ramen for the past month because they can't afford anything else because they're such a good artist. And I really worry when people start to brag about how much they're suffering for their art, because that's not the whole point of being an artist. The point of being an artist is to make things and to generate things that move other people. It's not to have an excuse to brag about like suffering. And I don't really understand why people do that on social media. Like I guess maybe they want to justify things or whatever. The thing I wanted to talk about mostly is that art isn't about suffering for it. It's about conveying experiences in a new and interesting way that people might not have had before. And I think that being an artist definitely is hard. And being an artist is something that does take sacrifice and courage and just a change in lifestyle that doesn't necessarily conform to what quote unquote normal people have. But that shouldn't mean that you go about and brag about the lifestyle that you have, and not necessarily even that, but just the suffering that you go through to have that lifestyle. Like the lifestyle that you have might be great. Like Andrew Wong, who is a very prolific YouTuber for music, he looks like he's living a pretty good life. And yes, he also works a lot, like a lot. And, you know, more power to him for that. But he doesn't complain or he doesn't brag about the amount of work that he does, at least not on a regular basis. And I mean, I commend him for that, because he definitely could be like, yeah, I'm working another 18-hour day just because I need to get these videos done and I'm working on this album and all this stuff. And he does talk about his process, but he doesn't like brag about it. And I think that that's a very important distinction, because the whole process of being an artist the sacrifices and the difficulties shouldn't be romanticized, because those are hardships and they're not something to be taken lightly. I don't know. It's like this whole concept is really difficult to me, because I know the reason why I want to talk about it, because people talk about it like being an artist and making all of these difficult choices and living a different lifestyle and suffering once in a while is like this huge good thing that everybody should do. Because I've seen so many tweets online and just things on social media that's like, if you're not working 18 hours a day at your creative profession, you're not doing it right, and all this other stuff. It's just like, no, you can do it right if you plan it out and if you are actually aware and just have the mindset of how to make this work. Because like me personally, I probably work 20 hours a week at my creative stuff. Unless I feel like streaming or I'm doing some other side projects, like I try to limit myself to 20 hours a week, because if I do more than that, I burn out. And that's a personal thing. Some people can work more, some people can work less. But I feel I'm fairly successful. Not wildly successful. I'm not living off of my creative work yet, but I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job at what I do. And I'm not putting in millions of hours, and I'm not, eating noodles out of the box because that's all I could afford. And I don't brag about this stuff. And it's just, I'm just talking in circles now. I'm sorry. This subject is so difficult, and I don't know why. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a patron. And yeah, just don't brag about, suffering for your art. It's not worth it. Talk about how great art is and the experiences that you give to others. That's more important. Okay, I'm done. Take care. Be remarkable. I'll see you in the next one.